Jill. This is on the plastic.
Yep, you got it here on the plastic. And that's a,
I thought last week's attendance was low, but I think this week.
I'm going to do a welcome this week. How we doing?
we are at 10 o'clock.
Good morning. It's pretty strong there. And welcome today to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Venice, or as we like to shorten it to UCOB, which sounds a whole lot easier to say and a little more friendly. Well, thank you all for coming today, and thank you for those out in TV land that are watching. We are a welcoming congregation. We welcome whoever you are, whomever you choose to love. Wherever you are on your journey, we bid you welcome. And thank you for coming today. A few announcements. Our activities are listed on the UCOB website, which is uucov.org. And many of them now are Zoom meetings. The Adult Religious Education is Zoom, Plato's Circle, Socrates Cafe. Many of them are now all Zoom meetings, so you can join in whether you're here or up in the Northeast. And we send our best wishes to those in the Northeast that for a change are fighting the effects of a hurricane, which is a little unusual. Down in Florida, it's just a sunny, calm day today, beautiful day, but hot. In 2 weeks, I believe it's September the 5th, Khleber Van Zandt, our minister, will return to the pulpit live, and our new pianist will debut here at UCOB, Lisa Frank. And if you have not heard Lisa on the piano, you're in for a real special treat. And I would tell you to make sure you mark your calendar for September the 5th. I think that's going to be a great day. Today's service is a recording by Reverend Van Zandt that is called Adulting is Hard. And I think adulting in that case refers to UCOB, which if I remember right, I think we're 22 years old. Does that sound right to anybody? Dale's saying yes, he thinks so. So anyway, we're beyond our teen years, starting to mature, even though sometimes we don't act like it, but we try to. Since I'm up here, I'm going to do Joys and Sorrows today. Did anybody bring any celebrations to church today they'd like to share with the people here and those out in TV land? If so, I will bring you the microphone and I'll let you hold it. Anybody?
My son Seth Marcusa is currently teaching at the Naval War College up in Rhode Island and has been put on the commander's list for promotion.
Anybody else have a celebration or a joy? I was going to. In the sorrows, I was going to, most of us have heard, but Dave Jewett died this past week. Dave and his wife Donna are members here for over 5 years now, and they're tentatively planning a memorial service sometime in October. Are there any other sorrows?
It's a sorrow and a slight joy. My stepdaughter Heather died this week from a car accident, but she was able to donate 3 of her organs. and that meant 3 lives. And one person had been waiting over 500 days for an organ, so that's, it's just sad that she died, but good that she helped.
It surely is. Any other sorrows? If not, I think we will start the service by Reverend Van Zandt called Adulting is Hard.
Hey there. Welcome to another long-distance worship service. I'm Phil Veach.
And I'm Steve Batchelor of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Venice, where we strive to be a beacon of liberal religion for Florida's Suncoast and a refuge for all who seek a welcoming community, no matter your color, creed, ability, or class, your affectional orientation, gender expression, political affiliation, or religious belief. Here, we celebrate our differences as we learn from another.
If you'd like to know more about this congregation and its many opportunities for learning, growth, and connection, you can peruse our calendar and announcements on Facebook or on our webpage at ucoff.org. And please, if you're watching on YouTube, remember to like this video by hitting the thumbs up icon below. Leave us a note in the comments section and click the subscribe button on our YouTube channel.
COVID-19 has hit many nonprofit organizations' budgets hard, and this congregation is no different. Please consider clicking the donate button on our website and give as generously as you can. This continues to be a difficult time for many of us and our neighbors, and we hope you'll find something in this service that speaks to you and maybe lifts you up or challenges you in ways that lead to spiritual reflection and personal growth. We're glad you've chosen to join us. Welcome to church today. The prelude begins our service.
Our call to worship today comes from the Belgian-American poet May Sarton. Come out of the dark earth, here where the minerals glow in their stone cells, deeper than seeds or birth. Come into the pure air, above all heaviness of storm and cloud, to this light-possessed atmosphere. Come into, out of, under the earth, the wave, the air. Love, touch us everywhere with primeval candor. Let us worship together this morning. Our hymn is Love Will Guide Us. We'll sing 2 verses.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us. will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love.
Our children have their own religious education class by Zoom each Sunday at 10 a.m. If you'd like to attend or help your child to attend, login information can be found on our website at uucov.org or on our Facebook page. This week, a reading of a story from the Reverend Christopher Buse, minister of the Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church in Knoxville, Tennessee. The story is called The Cure. Once upon a time, there was a young girl named Mia who found out she had a very terrible disease and probably would never be well again. She was very, very sad, and although she had many friends, they were afraid to come visit her because they feared they might also catch the disease. So Mia sat in her bed all by herself and was very lonely. One day she heard a knock on her door. "Come in," she said, and in walked three of her friends. One was a doctor, one was a minister, one was a magician. Mia was very glad to see them, for no one else had been brave enough to come visit her. "Hello, Mia," said her friends as they sat down around her bed. "We came to tell you something. Each one of us is going to try to find a cure for your disease." "Yes," said the doctor, "I'm going to go into my laboratory and do experiments until I discover a medicine that will cure your disease." "And I," said the minister, "am going to pray every day that you will be healed of this terrible disease." "And I," said the magician, "am going to look through my books of magic until I discover a potion or a spell that will rid you of your disease." Mia smiled and was very happy because she saw how much her friends cared for her. "Thanks," she said. "We're sorry that we can't stay long to visit," said her friends, "but we must rush off and begin our search for a cure. We'll return in 3 days, and surely by then one of us will have found a way to cure your disease." And so her friends went away in search of a cure, and once again Mia was very lonely. For 3 days, Mia's friends did everything they could to find a cure for her disease. The doctor worked hard in the laboratory, but couldn't discover any medicine that could help the little girl. The minister prayed every day and every night that Mia would be healed of her disease, but the little girl was still sick. The magician looked through all the magic books, but there were no spells or potions that could cure Mia's disease. All three of Mia's friends were very sad, for they felt they had failed. After the 3 days were over, the doctor, the minister, and the magician returned to Mia's house and told her the bad news. "We are so sorry," they said, "but we couldn't find a cure. We did our very best." And the three friends began to cry. "Don't cry," said Mia. "Before I was sick, I had many friends, but now they're all afraid to visit me. This disease is terrible, but it's nothing compared to the loneliness I've felt these last few days. I now know that loneliness is the worst disease of all. Right now, the medicine I need most is your friendship. The prayer I need most is for you to simply be with me. And the magic I need most is your love." And so the doctor, the minister, and the magician gathered around the little girl and laid their hands upon her. And in the silence that followed, it is said that there they found the cure. Our meditation begins today with a prayer on the eve of an election by the Unitarian Universalist Tess Baumberger. Spirit of wisdom, as we prepare to elect new citizens to lead us in our communities, cities, counties, states, and our heart-torn nation, grant us wisdom and discernment so that we may choose those of peaceful heart, of competent mind, of a servant spirit. Spirit of the harvest, help us to winnow the grain from the chaff and to reap the legacy of freedom our founders planted for all of us. Help us to gather together as one people, united in concern for this country founded upon such promising ideals. Spirit of healing, grant that we may bridge the breaches that have opened between us. Help us to understand one another, to listen to the stories of who we are, and to find common ground on which we can move forward together. We lift up those in this community who face change, challenge, or loss today as we hold within our hearts all who suffer. Now we pray, each in our own ways, into the silence. The hopes of this community are offered forth in the names of all those who've gone before and in the names of all those who will come after. In the names of all the helpers of humankind, Shalom, Salam, Amen, and blessed be. Our musical interlude is a Tim Minchin composition, When I Grow Up. Piano and vocals by our Director of Music, Dr. Marcel Leonard.
When I grow up, I will be tall enough to reach the branches that I need to reach to climb the trees you get to climb when you're grown up. And when I grow up, I will be smart enough to answer all the questions that you have to know the answers to when you're grown up. And when I grow up, I will eat sweets every day on the way to work, and I will go to bed late every night. And I will wake up when the sun comes up, and I will watch cartoons until my eyes go square, and I won't care, 'cause I'll be all grown up when I grow up. And when I grow up, I will be strong enough to carry all the heavy stuff you have to haul around with you when you're a grown up. And when I grow up, I will be brave enough to fight the creatures that you have to fight beneath the bed each night to be a grown up. And when I grow up, I will have treats every day, and I'll play with things that Mom pretends that moms don't think are fun. And I will wake up when the sun comes up, and I will spend all day just lying in the sun, and I won't burn, 'cause I'll be all grown up when I grow up. And when I grow up, I will be strong enough to carry all the heavy stuff you have to haul around with you when you're a grown up. And when
Happy, happy birthday, Unitarian Universalist congregation of Venice. You know, it isn't every day that a person or a congregation turns the ripe old age of 22. So it's a good thing that we celebrate this milestone. And while we're at it, we'll do a little reflection on what it means that we've gotten here and where it is we think we might be going. In its short 22 years of existence, this congregation has developed a rich history of loving and caring for each other and of offering service to the broader community. The founders and the charter members and the early waves of participants worked hard and got whatever needed to be done. Many of you, I know, were here in the early days and pitched in to purchase this land and then to provide the intellectual and emotional wherewithal and even the manual labor of getting this building built and this campus beautifully landscaped. And so all of us who weren't around then owe you who were a tremendous debt of gratitude for all you've done. So on this happiest of birthdays, thank you. Thank you very, very much. As this congregation has been around longer and begun to tick off birthday after birthday, I've started to wonder about a few things. One of them is this. I'm aware of the intense feelings of pride our longer-term members often feel when coming onto this campus. You who have been with this congregation a while know the sense of ownership you've developed over the years as you've poured your heart and soul into this place. Then this is my question. How do you who already feel that way pass that feeling along? How do you bequeath, how do you engender that same feeling of pride and ownership and belonging in all the new members that come along after you? You know, it's a beautiful place you've built here, and I assume you made it like this, not simply to serve your own needs and desires, but to eventually give it all away. Eventually, to invite the neighbors in and to share this great place with others whom you would like to trust will love and care for it as you have. If that's a bad assumption, I hope you will let me know. And another thing I wonder, lots of us knew the founders of this congregation personally. But now Jeannie Peck died about 2.5 years ago. It's now been almost 2 years since our last living founder, Nancy Stone, passed on. So all 6 of our founders live only in blessed memory now. Think about what that means. One thing it may mean is that no one who joins this church from here on out will ever have the privilege of knowing even one of our founders. It means actually that there are already members among us who've never met a founder. It means that your next minister will never have the pleasure of meeting a founder. Now, you who knew these founders, you who worked closely with them to get this place up and going, how do you think never knowing one of the originals would change a new member's or a new minister's sense of the history of this place or the gravity of the position they've been invited to fill? I don't know. I do know the people who haven't lived the early history of this place can't possibly be aware of it in quite the same way, but they will, in their own time, bring a different understanding of where this place fits in today's culture. And maybe that's okay. Okay or not, this is always the case, isn't it? Younger people come along bringing their own viewpoints, their own struggles, their own vision, their own perspectives. This congregation is now 22 years old. When our kids were in their 20s, they started being asked, finally I would say, to make the kinds of adult decisions that many of us are now familiar with. How to pay the bills, which bills to pay, how to get a job that will help pay the bills. Should I save some of the money I have and how much? Should I spend some of the money I have and how much? How do I make my living space livable? Who will I live with in this space? How do I begin and maintain a relationship with significant others amidst all the difficulty relationships entail? It's a lot. One thing we heard from our kids over and over was the phrase, adulting is hard. Adulting is hard. I think they meant that as hard as being a young person is, being an adult comes with some responsibilities that may not be quite as easy as they at first appear. Adulting is hard, and this congregation has faced two important developmentally transformational events in its history this year alone. One is obviously the COVID pandemic. We could only watch as the numbers of cases and the numbers of deaths around the world soared. The threat of illness and the associated shutdowns and limits on behavior in everyday life that we've all seen has pushed us as a country and as individuals and as a congregation into places we never imagined we'd have to go. And here many of us are on the other side, or at least peering into the future, hoping for the arrival of another side. And if the old saying is at all true, what doesn't kill you will make you stronger, we ought to be plenty strong by now. I don't know how much stronger I can stand to be. But the fact is that facing this time together has offered us not only problems, but an opportunity to explore some important questions together. Questions like these. How has our mission as a congregation changed in a post-pandemic world? How has our vision shifted for how this congregation will operate and for what kind of a congregation it will become? How do we stay in touch with each other even as the waves of virus come and go and we wait for a vaccine that hopefully will make life easier? How do we open ourselves and our campus up in ways that allow us to stay safe enough as we connect with our friends and fellow church members while trying to reduce the likelihood of infecting anyone, especially the vulnerable? And since it appears that our primary outlet is going to be online for the foreseeable future, what will that look like? How will we serve the people out there who need us? What kinds of systems do we need to put in place to get our online presence to the point where it can provide the services we and our neighbors need? And how do we think about all that, even as we each have our own needs for community and connection? It's an awful lot to think about. The other event we faced together as a congregation this year was the sabbatical that began last February. Remember that? In the tumult of the present time, it might be easy to forget that we planned for months for that challenge, and I still think we did a pretty good job of it, bringing Reverend Dennis McCarty down, preparing all our systems for the differences that were likely to occur. It did work out as well as it could have, considering the parts of 2020 that we could never have foreseen. Reverend Dennis and the rest of the staff were able pretty quickly to shift from face-to-face meetings to Zoom, and from offering live worship services to posting recorded ones online every Sunday. Those two things are no small feats, I'll have you know. I received a lovely message from a congregant recently. Now, maybe she'd heard me grumbling and grousing about all the uncertainties we're having to deal with right now. She reminded me that it might be helpful once in a while to get out of the weeds and see the bigger picture. She said, "One good thing about the sabbatical, no matter how crazy it was a major challenge we had to face and deal with together as a congregation. And each time we do that, it makes us older, wiser, and better." The same thing is true of this time of COVID. We are surviving something together and will no doubt learn and grow from this experience. And consequently, we will no longer be the new little congregation that's constantly afraid of blips in the road. So thank you for that. You know who you are. It is November 1st, and I need to interject something very quickly. The national election cycle that began for many of us a long, long time ago reaches another milestone this Tuesday, when in-person voting occurs across the country. Indications are that we may not know who won or lost that night. In fact, wrangling over legal details may go on for some time. Whatever happens, we are the people who aspire to live by our first principle. You remember it? It's the one that says, we affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person, even of our neighbors who did not vote as we did. And that can be a hard principle to live by right about now. Also, whatever happens, the day after the election, on Wednesday, November 4th, I will be here on campus from about 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., either out on the patio or with the doors open on the lanai, depending on the weather. And you are invited to stop by informally to talk if you'd like to. Or you can call my phone if you wish, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. If you're going to stop by the campus, please remember to wear a mask and respect social distancing guidelines. A lot of things have changed since this congregation was founded. Indeed, much has changed since this congregation's last birthday. As we turn the ripe old age of 22, I wonder if we will continue to be open to new ideas and new ways of looking at things. Or will we be constantly trying to go backwards and recreate a world that I'm afraid doesn't exist anymore? We have all been adjusting personally to the limitations imposed by COVID. And not that we've liked it, not that we're happy about any of it, but we've understood most of the time how important it's been for ourselves, our loved ones, our neighbors, and our society to adopt some new behaviors and see some things in a new light. So given those changes, How has your vision of this congregation evolved? Because it's a different world now. Our founders and charter members were willing in their time to go to all the trouble of getting this place started. Thank goodness they did. Thank goodness they were persistent in their vision, because here we are 22 years later, still chugging along, still making an impact in this community, still building a presence here at the corner of Pine Brook and Edmondson, and now finding new ways to promote and disseminate our values using a broad online outreach as well. Our founders and charter members had a particular vision. And so this is not just any kind of a congregation, but a Unitarian Universalist one, full of folks trying to live out some very good principles, trying to help people on the margins with housing and food, trying to help children experience an abiding love as they learn ways of dealing effectively in their lives, and trying to help adults grow into themselves and find ways of coping with what is these days a very confusing and constantly evolving world. Thank you to anyone who's done anything to get this congregation to where it is today. It is no longer the new little congregation that's afraid of a few blips in the road. Happy 22nd birthday, Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Venice. The ones who brought you here ought to be proud. So may it be. Our hymn is, "I Seek the Spirit of a Child," first verse only.
I seek the spirit of a child, the child who leads life naturally, the child who sings the world alive and greets the morning sun with glee. Children are real beyond the heart. May I see joy's a gift to our heart.
And now a benediction after Thomas Merton. Happy birthday, Unitarian Universalist Congregation. May you practice the ways of peace as you work toward a world of justice. May you learn to see yourself through eyes of understanding and love, while also aspiring toward your best self. May you learn to recognize and nourish the seeds of joy in yourself every day. May you maintain a youthful lightness of spirit as well as a mature wisdom of the ages. May you be free from aversion, but not indifferent. Go in peace, walk softly on your paths, and may the light of love shine on you all your days.